Forever. Dog.
Just between us. Just between us.
Hello! I'm Allison Raskin. I'm a writer, mental health advocate, and today I didn't get lost going to my local bagel shop like I have the previous 2 times.
Hey, I'm Gabby Dunn. I'm a writer, bicon, bisexual icon, wink, and I'm not taking no shit.
Oh no, what does that mean?
Oh, it's just a little inside joke between the three of us right now. Why do you get lost going to the bagel shop? I don't understand. You live in one area.
Okay, so I understand how to get to the bagel shop from my house. But the last few times I've been going from physical therapy, which has taken me into this it's in this huge shopping center. And for whatever reason, the area in which I have entered on the way home from physical therapy, I had been unable to orient myself and twice had to call John freaking out because I was lost.
Okay, so here's the question. Why do some people have bad senses of direction? We'll walk out of a store and Mal will be like, "Where are we?" And I'm like,
Yeah.
"We just what?"
Well, people have different skill sets.
That's true. And I guess that's why people should want to go with me in an apocalypse situation because I know where we're going. I can orient us. The sun is in the west. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but you're talking to someone who has no real interest in surviving the apocalypse.
True. So what's this bagel place? Is it good?
It's okay.
That is truly the energy of this show. It's truly what it is. You're like, God, I want to get there so bad.
It was fine.
How is it? You're like, that was fine. Oh my God.
But
Wow.
it's so funny because today I saw where it was right away and I was like, oh, how could I have been missing it this whole time?
Are you just acclimating to the new area that you moved to?
I guess not. Well, no, I guess today I did acclimate. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love where I live. I am now a West Sider for life, hopefully. I find it to be
Ah.
way better than any other part of Los Angeles.
Oh,
Can't recommend it enough. There are parking lots.
Wow.
It's way easier to do stuff.
Wow.
So really recommend.
Have you gone to the beach?
No. No, I have. I've gone to the beach.
People that are like, I live in LA. If you live in LA, you don't go to the beach or you don't go to Disney. I go to the beach. I go to Disney. I'm having a good time.
John's never been to Disneyland.
What are you talking about? Ever?
No.
Even as a child?
Well, he's from the East Coast as well, so I think he went to Disney World, but in Florida, but I don't think he's ever been to Disneyland.
No
It
interest?
seems to be a point of pride.
What?
Well, he doesn't like it, and I'm someone that will enjoy Disneyland for 3 hours, but I don't need to be there all day because rides spook me.
Oh, you don't want to go on any of the rides.
the rides
Even
are too
the
intense.
teacups or something?
I like experiences.
Okay.
I like when it's here's this experience, but your body isn't being jolted around in any stressful way.
So you just want to watch a show?
Yeah, watch a show or for example, actually, growing up, that E.T. ride at Universal.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So you're not going very fast. You're just sort of on a bicycle on a track.
Yeah.
But I remember I was so deathly afraid of E.T. And I also feel like the E.T. ride at Universal has a smell unlike any other smell. Melissa's nodding her head. It has its unique smell that I've never smelled before or since. And if I smelled it, I would be like, that's the E.T. ride at Universal.
Oh my God. This reminds me of a line from the show Transparent where she's talking about, one of the girls is talking about sex with a woman or some woman that she's seeing. Or I think maybe her own, something with bodily fluids. And she says it smelled brackish. And the other girl's like, brackish? And she's like, yeah, like the water on Pirates of the Caribbean. And I fucking lost it because I know exactly how that smells. And I was like, holy shit. That is such a funny way to describe that. Yeah, there's certain rides definitely that have very particular smells. And I don't want to know I don't want to investigate what that is.
No, I'll never know.
I don't want to know. I'm a Disney adult. I love Disney, which is hard because they're so mixed about gay people. And then they'll throw gay days. And I'm like, or I don't even, okay, I actually have never looked into if gay days is an official Disney thing or if gay people just showed up. Like, is it like a thing, which we kind of love to do, that we're just like showing up to a thing being like, this is gay now, and the people that are in charge of it actively don't want us there? I feel like that is a thing. Melissa's looking it up. Is gay days an actual Disney thing, or is it just something that we decided we were doing?
I believe that it is, because it's the website says Gay Days Anaheim, and it does not specifically look like
now that's
it
interesting.
aligns specifically with Disney, but
Okay.
So all of Anaheim is having a gay day.
yeah.
Maybe perhaps unauthorized gay day.
My new book is called Unauthorized Gay Day. Gabby Dunn story. And I won't be, you know what? And I don't want to be authorized. By who? The state? Fuck them.
Okay.
Well, this is Just Between Us, a variety show filled with heartfelt advice
Ridiculous games.
and brutal honesty.
This episode, we had Dr. Monica Vermonte, clinical psychologist, on. And, I think that maybe the way that Gabby and I view things is a bit different from how she views things. So you might feel the same. You might feel aligned with how she talks about stuff. And later, we're going to be talking all about sick burns. When are you allowed to really stick
Roast
it to
people,
somebody
yeah.
and roast people? And what type of things are we allowed to have sick burns about, if that makes sense?
It's my time to shine.
But first, we have got to answer a listener's question. And you know what that means?
I do.
Hit it! International question! International question! International question! Kendall, California.
Kendall Jenner?
I don't think so, but maybe. That would be such a twist.
I saw her one time outside, and like, I've never seen so many cameras chasing one person, and it made me feel bad a little bit for her.
Yeah,
it seemed so stressful.
would you ever want to be like that famous?
Yes.
Okay. Fair enough. Hi, Gabby and Allison. Longtime listener, circa 2015.
Holy crap.
First-time questioner. This is a question theme y'all have addressed before, but it was many years ago, so curious to hear your thoughts now. In short, is it harmful/immoral to tell someone you can't be with that you have a crush on them? The context, apologies, it's a bit long, tried to condense. I have a friend/coworker, let's call him Bread, that I've had a massive crush on for about a year now. It started basically when I first met him. It's largely physical attraction, but we also have great banter, inside jokes, and laugh together all the time that contributes a lot to the feels. Here are some reasons I can't/shouldn't pursue Bread. 1, we work together almost daily.
Yeah.
2, I have a boyfriend. We're non-monogamous, but his stipulation currently is that we can both only see women/femme NBs. He's straight, I'm bi, but this situation is a whole different issue/question. This is not going to be the case for much longer, though.
Okay.
Number 3, I know I wouldn't want a relationship with Bread because we have very different priorities in life. I'm sorry, but the nickname Bread is killing me. It's so.
I'm over here stressed out for a whole different reason.
No, I know. I just find it such a funny nickname. Okay, sorry. He's 32, I'm 27, and looking to seriously settle down, which I am not. Number 4, I have no idea if he feels anything other than platonically about me. We flirt a decent amount, but I think it's friendly. Maybe he's just good at putting me in the not an option box, a skill I severely lack. Of course, the fact that we can't possibly date or bang makes it way harder to let go of my feelings. And every time we hang out one-on-one, I have such an urge to tell him how I feel. Part of what stops me from saying anything is wondering whether it's selfish cruel to tell someone you have a crush on them when nothing can be done about it. Or does it just depend on your motivation? I'd want to tell him not because it'll make something happen, but partially because I want to know how he feels. Generally, with other crushes I've had on friends, once I know they're not interested, the crush can finally fade. And partially because it feels weird for him to not know, like I'm keeping important information about our friendship from him. Should I tell Bread that I like him more than platonically? Bonus question, should it be before or after I'm allowed to date men/masks? Confusedly, Kendall, she, her, California. Sorry for the boring location. P.S. Thank you both for all these years of being real and vulnerable online. As a bisexual woman with ADHD, depression, and anxiety, your stories have helped me through so many tough years, and you both frequently make me think about things in new ways. I appreciate having your voices as part of my life all these years. Well, we appreciate you listening to us For,
Yeah,
for
Kendall.
7 years.
Kendall, I love you. I love you. I love you. I'm about to go off, but I love you.
I can feel the tension boiling in the corner. Where do you want to start? Are you even going to address the main question, or are you going to just address the other thing?
I'm about to alienate probably a lot of you guys. The one penis policy is sexist and also transphobic and also controlling and also bad. And I know that this is a common thing in polyamory, and I need people to unpack
Can you explain
what
what
they're
it is?
actually saying. That it's largely a cis couple where the woman is bisexual and the man says you can sleep with women. And I'll get into femme NBs. You can sleep with women, but you cannot sleep with other men. The differentiation between femme NBs and mask NBs really bumped for me, because to me, it indicates that your partner believes that non-binary people who present as femme or non-binary people who I think I'm going to go with are AFAB count as women and are non-threatening because they count as women. And saying that women and femme NBs are allowed, aka not threatening, aka like not a problem for this person, is like deeply sexist and transphobic. And your partner should absolutely examine that, because, and I know you said it's not going to go on for a long time, and I understand that polyamory is about people's levels of comfort, but like if he is saying femme NBs, does he mean AMAB people who present feminine, who are non-binary? I bet he doesn't. Does he mean trans women? If he says women, does he mean trans women who have not chosen to have bottom surgery? What does he mean exactly? And so the idea that then it's allowed for, then like you have to open it up to men and to mask non-binary people or mask people puts a genital divide on this type of thing that I think is like very toxic, and like puts this thing of like mask NBs. What do you mean there? Do you mean like NBs who are AMAB? Do you mean AFAB MBs who present masculine? Why is that then couched with cis men, which I'm assuming that's what bread is. So I think I understand you're saying that this is something that will not be the case for much longer, but I do think it ties into the crush on bread in a way, because then it's given more importance by the one penis policy that you seem to have in your polyamory. And I don't know. I'm like shaking a little bit because I don't like this type of situation at all. And it is almost entirely not the bisexual woman in the relationships like idea. It is, and if it is, fine, but it's like almost largely like a boundary that the cis male partner will have. And it's not a boundary. A boundary is you saying what you would do in the instance of that person doing what they would like to do. A boundary is not you making a rule saying, I'm the only person in your life that I deem threatening, because why don't you deem those other people threatening? And why don't you deem those other people as counting? And again, Kendall, not about you. Just a larger problem, especially the I think there's a very pervasive invisibility of AMAB non-binary people, which one puts women and non-binary people in a group together. For instance, I think people mean well when they say this space is for women and non-binary people, but I think in their minds when they say that, they're saying women and AFAB non-binary people. And I think that creates a weirdness where AMAB non-binary people or not femme non-binary people or whatever it is are like, they're not, that's not what you're thinking of. And I think it then shows how you're viewing these people and how you're viewing trans men and how you're viewing trans women, let's say even binary. So I don't know if your partner is straight, but like this is just a general whatever. Now, when it comes to bread, I think you can't say anything to this person until you and your partner have figured out that aspect of your polyamory. Because you might say this is going to change soon, and then your partner is like, you say, okay, I want to try to like pursue something with bread, even if bread is interested. And then your partner has a like full meltdown because bread is a man. So it's almost like irrelevant if you say anything to bread because you're not able to do you're not really able to do anything about it. You don't know if you'll be able to do anything about it. On the flip side, if bread wants a committed relationship and that's what this person is looking for and you know that, I don't think you should put anything on this person at this point in your life. Like I don't think he owes it to tell you that if he's interested in you or not, especially if you're like, I'm just curious if he's interested. Why does he have to disclose that to you? I don't think anything is about this person. And I don't think he has to like become involved in this at this point. You know what I mean? Like leave him out of it.
Yeah, the thing that really bumps for me is that he's your coworker, right?
Yeah.
And so I and a lot of people disagree with me about this, but I think if you're in a co-working environment, office environment, you're seeing this person every single day, I don't think it is appropriate to put feelings out there because people should feel like they're at work and not like that they are the object of, romantic or sexual attraction.
Yeah.
And so like that boundary,
Especially if nothing can be done, if you're not asking him out.
yeah. And look, obviously coworkers date all the time, but yeah, I mean, right? Like, this is a messy situation. That like you're looking for different things. Like, I think the only time two coworkers should date is like when from the very beginning they have like a very clear plan in place. It is like super mutually decided and there are like clear boundaries and things are figured out and like
How are you going to behave at work? What happens if you break up?
right, all of that. And like
Yeah.
and it should be the value add should be so high, right?
Yeah.
Like you can actually see a real like this could be like a real long-term relationship.
Or you even know like
Or
that you
you
would
know
be
that you're
able to
both-
be with that person. Yeah.
Right, like because it is a huge risk to date your coworker.
Yeah.
And so for this situation where like it
all
already
kind of up in
feels
the
really
air.
messy, I feel like it is kind of yucky to put that out there on bread. It feels look like sometimes
People just flirt.
we want to do stuff and it's like, yeah, I want to do it, but like doing so is selfish in
It's
a way.
impulse control.
Like, yeah, like it is like, and then you have to kind of like look at the cost benefit of doing the selfish thing.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes like it's something that like is really worth it, right? The cost benefit is worth it because the cost isn't that high and the benefit is huge. And so like
Mhm.
absolutely go do you. But this feels like a scenario where like, I don't know, like the cost could be really high because you could either make
Leave
this
your
person
job.
be really uncomfortable with
Mhm.
you declaring feelings for them. Like if they haven't done anything to signal to you that they feel the same way and you know that you are not what they're looking for, like it just feels like a landmine. Or like,
I mean, maybe he is flirting, but it's also like, then what?
and I would sort of like examine like why do you need to know if this person likes you?
That's what I'm saying.
Like I think a lot about my and again, this is just me speaking about me. I can't I hate projecting on stuff like this onto other people, but I often take a lot of thought about like, is this just my ego?
Huh?
Is the thing that is distressing me that I want some form of satisfaction of like that
Yeah.
they like me back, that they care about me, that
Yeah.
they think about me a certain way, like for a long time, like after like my fiance left me, I was like, oh, it'd be so cool if he came back. And it's like, but why? Like that would like that would
You wouldn't
disrupt
want it,
my
yeah,
life. I
yeah.
don't know if that would be the best for my actual well-being,
Right.
but it would feel real good from my ego.
Right.
And
Right.
like once I realized that it was like an ego-driven thing, I was able to sort of like release the desire a little bit. So I think just sort of like examining that if that is what's at play for you, like
Mhm.
why can't you just sit with having a crush on somebody and not
Yeah.
knowing how they feel towards you back, like, could be helpful.
Also, for me, sometimes I make a really good new friend and then I'm like, I have a crush on them, but the crush is just like, I like this friend. Like, and then so I have to wait and like parse out, like, do I actually have a crush on this person? Or am I just like excited that they're my friend and I think that they're attractive? And like a lot of times with men, you're like, well, if I think they're attractive and I like being around them, surely it's a romantic or sexual attraction. When sometimes it's just like, this is a cool friend. And like, and you know, like you can just like slow your roll.
And I think we've talked about this before, but like, you don't need to attach action to having a crush.
Yeah.
Like a crush can just exist as a crush. It doesn't need to go
Yeah.
anywhere.
Yeah.
I think you're maybe focused on like, but what will the final outcome be? And maybe the final outcome is you just have a crush on your coworker. And
Yeah.
that's okay. And it doesn't,
Or-
there's nothing needs to be done about it.
Hear me out. Acting out and having a crush on this inappropriate guy because of the one penis policy.
Well,
That
now
probably
now
needs to
we're
be
really speculating.
that probably needs to be addressed, right? Who's the worst person you could possibly be into as a rebellion against this restriction that is unhealthy? Dun dun dun. Think about that.
Well, we hope that helped and wasn't too
We
harsh.
Kendall, I just have a lot of like I like started shaking answering the question, and it's not about you. It's just I have a lot of like about certain things that were mentioned. And you already know it's not okay because you're saying it's going to change. So you already know. You knew asking this question.
And if you want to submit your international question and make Gabby shake with rage.
Not just rage.
No, I know. I'm just kidding. You can send it to justbetweenuspod@gmail.com. That's justbetweenuspod@gmail.com.
Up next, we've got an exciting interview with our highly esteemed guest, Dr. Monica Vermonte. Stay tuned. This podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp.
It can be tough to train your brain to stay in problem-solving mode when faced with a challenge in life.
But when you learn to find your own solutions, there's no better feeling.
I've had to navigate having a career that's kind of all over the place and talking it through with a therapist about what I want to prioritize, how I want to approach things has been really helpful. So it doesn't feel like I'm doing this all on my own.
Oh my God, inertia. Inertia can get so real because you're just stuck ruminating with yourself, but a therapist can make it easier to accomplish your goals, no matter how big or small. You gotta get moving.
Therapy is such a great resource to talk through problems you're currently experiencing, but it's also really helpful when like you're kind of in a moment of calm so that you can work through like bigger stuff and like have tools for when things get complicated again. And problem solving is a real like muscle that it can feel so overwhelming at the beginning, but if you break things down especially with another person, you can start to really chip away at things and not feel like you're going to be crushed.
If you're thinking of giving therapy a try, BetterHelp is a great option.
It's convenient, accessible, affordable, and entirely online.
Get matched with a therapist after filling out a brief survey and switch therapists at any time.
When you want to be a better problem solver, therapy can get you there. Visit betterhelp.com/justbetweenus today to get 10% off your first month.
That's betterhelp.com/justbetweenus.
Just between us.
Welcome back to Just Between Us. It's time for the juiciest, most scandalous, most controversial segment known to all of podcasting. Tough questions.
This week on the show, we have Dr. Monica Vermonte, a clinical psychologist, public speaker, teacher, and author in the field of mental health and wellness. In her private practice, Dr. Vermonte balanced well-being. She provides a multifaceted treatment approach through a variety of techniques and treatments. And in her new book, A Deeper Wellness, Dr. Vermonte provides the tools to create a deep, authentic sense of well-being. Hello, welcome.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you for being here. This is a topic that we love to talk about.
I think I'd love to just ask to begin with, wellness is a term that is thrown around so much. It's kind of become monetized as an industry. And so what does wellness like actually mean to you as a clinical psychologist?
So, wellness encompasses mind, body, and soul health is my definition. I always feel that, all of us are perfect and a work in progress. And it's nice to work on every aspect of ourselves to be a better version of ourselves. And so wellness to me encompasses every area of our life and trying to look at a level of balance and wellness, because most of us do struggle with just trying to get balance in every area of our lives.
Like, what areas specifically do you think need to be balanced?
So, we all have life tasks of work, school, social, intimacy, self-care, spirituality. And spirituality, my definition is you connecting to your spirit, you enjoying your own company. Many of us don't like our own company. We struggle and we're always finding distractions or trying to stay away from ourselves or keep so busy that we don't stay with the content in our head. So to me, true spirituality is being at peace with the content in your head and liking your own company, which many people don't often do. And so in those areas of life tasks, are we feeling like we're people that we want to be? At the end of the day, when you die, the people at your funeral are the people you leave behind. How do you want them to remember you? It's kind of nice to pause and reflect and say, am I living a life in accordance to how I want to be remembered, how I hope people saw me, how the interactions in my social life, in my work life, and my personal life reflected me being a well person, someone who's kind and generous or a good spirit. And I think it's nice for all of us to pause and reflect in the rat race of the world, to not be so well adjusted to sick society that we're constantly racing and not realizing our impacts on others are not as kind and generous and compassionate as we really hoped they would be.
Yeah, I know for me, like changing my relationship with myself was, such a game changer. And
Yeah.
it sort of like set the seed for everything else and how I move through the world. But I know that that can be really hard for some people. I think that people have some really deep seated beliefs that they are terrible, that they're
Negative talk
like,
about
that's,
themselves.
and
Yeah.
especially if you, have a tendency towards depressive episodes, it can be really hard to get out of that spiral. And so,
Yeah.
how do you recommend people kind of like take that first step to start to enjoy themselves?
Yeah, so the first step to treatment is always awareness, right? And when I say treatment, that's what you're doing. You're sometimes looking at things about yourself that you don't love and fine tuning it to make it better. And so you're treating a condition that you don't love to make it more, adaptive and healthier and kinder or compassionate. When you said negative thoughts, yeah, everything is a thought deep down inside. If you really pause and reflect, when we're born, if you look at children, they're in the moment, just like that beautiful pet of yours. Like they're in the moment, here and now. They're connected to their senses. They're doing, they're acting, they're being, but they're not overthinking things. And so when you look at a child, they're in high self-esteem, looking in the mirror, seeing beauty. They're not comparing themselves to others. They're unconditionally loving. They'll hug, kiss you, even if you don't kiss them back. Same with the pets. They keep coming back regardless of what mood you're in or what you're going through. They're living in the moment. But then somehow as children, which each of us were once, from a state of beauty, high self-esteem, positivity, how do we grow out of that? How did we start picking thoughts and holding on to them like dire truth? It's important for us to reflect what are facts and what are fears. Fears are self-doubt, but where did the doubt come from? As a child, you see people, children playing and being in themselves. And then at some point they start attaching themselves to negative concepts, whether it's role modeled through parents and blueprints, or it's, abuse and difficult challenges or bullies or peers or communities or spiritual groups that influence us to teach us to be different than who we are. And then we lose our connection to ourselves and our truth, and we start becoming an external or an expected self more than being our true selves. And so deep down inside, I always feel like we had it right at one point, and then we kind of got away. And then our genetics got involved with mood and anxiety and, role modeling behavior through our parents and blueprints and sometimes horrible incidences and catastrophes. We can't control what happens to us, but we can control our coping skills and how we manage it. And that many times it's not role modeled in a healthy manner. So we sometimes just repeat cycles of abuse or patterns of self-scrutiny, judgment, criticism. We're so bloody hard on ourselves that we get into a cycle of spiraling with anxious loops, catastrophizing, always fearing about the worst case scenarios. And you start learning to pull thoughts and hold on to them like truth versus challenge them. So when you say the first step to getting healthy, pause and reflect. Am I choosing thoughts on a day-to-day basis that I reinforce through rumination or repetition inside me even? Do I reinforce things that help me grow, feel better, more inspired? Or am I depleting myself day to day with self-scrutiny, judgment, criticism, and comparing myself? We all compare. I always tell people when I see somebody a little bit lesser than me, I'm like, I grew from there. When I see somebody better, I can acquire their skill and become it. But many times when we see people and we compare them to ourselves, we kind of poop on ourselves and we get hard about what we're missing and we're lacking versus I can grow and be better. So I think, it's one of those things is it's nice to pause and reflect of where did I learn certain habits? And here and now, okay, I maybe didn't have the awareness before, but why don't I pause and look at things that I can actually take steps towards to better now, whether it's challenging thoughts, whether it's getting some help, whether it's learning new tools and resources, and sometimes even recognizing, oh, I'm carrying my mom's stuff. This is not mine. These are not my beliefs. These are not my narratives. This is what my mom reinforced, and I can choose differently. And so it's important for us to start working on ourselves, but we're so busy sometimes, always staying distracted that we don't necessarily make time for ourselves to go inwards, pause and reflect, and look at my day-to-day life. Are we plagued by more negative thoughts or positive ones? The monkey brain is the monkey brain. We all got one. You got to sometimes look at what is the quality of my thoughts on a day-to-day basis. You can't have two simultaneous thoughts at the same time. So either it's a negative one or a positive one. And when we have negative thoughts, am I holding on to it like truth and ruminating and holding on to it and repeating it over and over? And whatever you focus expands then. So it makes it more negative with behaviors and habits. Or am I reframing it and challenging it and looking at the accuracy of the thought to maybe now find a better way to think or plant the seed of what I want to manifest versus what I'm afraid of? Because that's what the future is about. Future's imagination hasn't happened yet. And so you can imagine best case scenarios or worst case scenarios. Oftentimes we always worry about worst case scenarios in fears that, bad things will happen. I won't be able to cope with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I heard someone speaking recently about that we all lie to ourselves. So why not tell ourselves nice lies?
Yeah, I like that one. I like that one a lot. It is a good way. Sometimes they say fake it till you make it, and that's what they mean. Sometimes you want to embody a sense of being of who you want to be, even if you don't concretely believe on the inside you are that person. Sometimes as you reinforce the positives, one day you wake up and you're like, I actually align to that statement.
Yeah, and if you don't know what's going to happen anyway, why not assume a good thing will happen instead of the worst thing?
Whoa.
It's hard to do. I'm not going to say it's an easy thing. When we've had years of repeating negative thoughts or self-scrutiny or feeling like people judge us in a negative manner, it is hard to break negative cycles, which is why sometimes we do have to reach out and get help.
I'm basically in like a neuroscience class. I think it's called like physiological psychology right now for my grad program. And my professor said something that was so interesting where he was like, when we are born into our families, we learn to adapt to how they operate. But then what we've learned, how well does that work for our later life, right? Like how well does those adaptations work when we're adults? And do we need to readjust to the new reality of where we are and who we're living with? And, do those tools that we develop for our individual families work well for greater society? And so I imagine, and I kind of blew my mind in a lot of ways.
Yeah,
it made a lot of sense.
Yeah, I'm upset right now. I'm like searching my mind like, no.
But so how do you sort of notice if maybe the way that you have been navigating the world, which makes sense because that's what your family taught you, maybe isn't serving you anymore, and that you need to maybe navigate the world in a different way?
So all human behavior has a purpose and all symptoms have a purpose. When your symptoms, so deep down inside, everybody has anxiety, right? Like if I didn't have a little bit of anxiety right now, I'd be asleep. There has to be a level of anxiety just to help you function, to be alert, to know your environment, and to perform and get things done. So, we all have symptoms. The key is recognizing when your symptoms hinder you or hold you back from living life successfully or at peace.
When it's like an anxiety disorder or something.
Bingo.
It becomes,
Bingo. And realize that you're taking physiological psych. That talks about genetics. That talks about your physiology. Some of us, through our genetics and an inherited mood and anxiety or substance abuse or certain things that do tend to repeat in cycles, we have to be aware of where we came from. If my family has a whole history of heart disease, I should be careful about what I eat. It's nice for us to recognize what are facts and fears. Sometimes your fears are based on truth. And then you got to question, what am I doing to better myself, to do some preventative care? So I always love when I get younger and younger people in my office, because many times parents get better and then they recognize, oh, I see anxiety in my kid right now. They're getting anxious about going to school and stuff. And I get these 7, 8-year-olds in my office sometimes with their parents to work on preventative care. And it's interesting, children under the age of 11 manifest anxiety in their body. They don't necessarily have the cognitions yet. They don't have the thoughts attached. They're not aware of it. So when I used to work at Lake Ridge Mental Health Center, and where I used to work with children with anxiety under the age of 11, you're teaching them how to manage their physiological symptoms and feel empowered versus afraid and timid and like giving into the tummy ache or the butterflies or the headache. And as adults, our physical symptoms are intense, which is why we sometimes are like, I'm not doing well. But there is a thought that you can catch that ties to that physical. It is your thought, whether it's conscious or unconscious, that leads to physical sensations and emotions that also then leads to consequential maladaptive behaviors that we do, like avoidance, denial, procrastination, staying in bad relationships, staying in a workplace that, we could do better in, not speaking up, not confronting our fears, not doing exposures, and instead becoming agoraphobic and staying housebound. It's important for us to recognize how my thoughts affect my not only moods and physical symptoms, but my behaviors as well. How is it limiting my life? And so by recognizing your limitations, you can then take actionable steps, whether it's going to a medical doctor, dealing with the physical symptoms, like lowering the volume of anxiety so you have the courage to challenge things, or it's going to a therapist and learning meditation, cognitive behavioral therapy to challenge thoughts. There are tons of tools out there, but it's important for us to recognize our parents did the best they could with what they had. And it's not
Ideally.
about blaming them, ideally.
Ideally.
And they might have not got the help, and that was their own fears and anxieties. And it's not about could have, should have, and blaming them. It's about here and now. How do I master my life by taking control and moving forward? Sometimes staying stuck in the past just really keeps us stuck. And it's about us recognizing where we came from, take the good and use it. And the stuff that didn't work for you, or you recognize is not healthy for my background, let me find a way to reconceptualize it, take charge now as an adult, and move forward.
Can you, with kids, like the preventative care, can you get out ahead of stuff without the parents like making big changes?
Big one. So one reason why I didn't continue to work with children
Is the
is
parents.
you do have to cooperate with the
Yeah.
parents. And
Yeah.
I'm great with the kids, and I was great with the adults. And I love the adults because they can actually take charge of their life, move out of their parents' home, materialize new things, go on medication if they like. So yes, you do need to recognize the ripple effect. And unfortunately, parents are a huge influence. And so again, many times when you're in pain, you're spilling over onto others. It is important for people to recognize that if you're not working on you, you're also impacting your children. You're impacting your immediate environment. And so as parents, you do have to recognize that if your child has anxiety, are you role modeling some of that? And I used to sometimes meet parents who used to be like, here, help my child, but they weren't willing to see their symptoms. And the nice thing I find in my private practice is I work with a lot of adults as they get better and more empowered and see how they're different from their parents. When they have children, they're like, do you mind if I bring in my kid to learn that meditation from you so that we can reinforce it at home? Or as they're learning it, they're reinforcing it in their household, how to challenge negative thoughts. So I do find, when parents do their own work and work on being a better version of themselves, they are better role models to their kids as well as better partners. Many times we don't recognize, but when you're in pain, you spill over onto others. Pain meaning symptoms that are loud, then others around you have to coddle you or enable you or manage things. And sometimes that's not healthy for us to spill over onto others in an unhealthy way. But we also go into a ripple effect with health. As I work on me as a better version of me, there's a ripple effect of people benefiting from me working on myself by learning healthy habits, modeled behavior, and not having to always have to pull me out of the hole when I'm in a dark place.
Yeah.
Because I know how to self-soothe now, right?
Yeah. You mentioned meditation, and then there's also like in your bio, it talks about like EMDR and breath, body, mind practice. So can you explain what EMDR is actually? Because I feel like that's come up a lot lately in pop culture.
Yeah. So EMDR is eye movement desensitization reprocessing. When you go to sleep at night, your eyes go back and forth when they are in REM sleep and deep sleep. And during that time is where all your dreams and your memories come out too. So what we often do is we're bringing in bilateral stimulation, whether it's a device or it's you following my fingers or you're tapping. It's a way for people to go into their memories easier while they're awake. And this process allows you to also go into traumas. And, there's different layers of traumas. There's some people with very catastrophic, significant traumas that have impacted their life in 1 second. And then there's some people who've had multiple traumas, which is chronic PTSD, where you've had chronic abuse growing up or you've had multiple incidences. Many times we remember our past or our traumas, and it should be just a memory in the past without the affect. But many times we're walking around day to day and our affect is just as heightened just by the thought of the memory of what we went through. So what I call it is emotional debris. Every time you go through something difficult in life, it kind of gets lodged in your nervous system. And then day-to-day triggers open it up. And as you get triggered, you're bringing in yesterday's issues into today's moment. And so many times things that are triggering us today have nothing to do with today, have to do with a time where I was bullied, I was not treated well, I felt stupid, I didn't feel good enough, I didn't feel capable, I felt vulnerable, I felt unsafe. And so EMDR is a beautiful way to work through layers of trauma, regardless of the trauma. It could be a misunderstanding with people. It could be comparison with your sibling. It could be a devastating first responder experience as they were at work going through a traumatic situation. So regardless of the level of trauma, the nice thing is a right therapist who's facilitating the process will hold you in a space of safety as you process the memory and recognize what did you personalize from that memory. So many of us go through horrific things day to day, but some of them stick and some of them don't. And you sometimes question why. The ones that don't, you didn't personalize yourself to it. And the ones that you did, you personalize. I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. Nobody's going to love me. I'm a bad person. Guilt, shame, betrayal.
Or just sometimes a feeling of not being safe, right? So
Not
like
being in
you don't
control.
necessarily, like the loss of control can
Loss
be
of
really
control.
triggering.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Control's an interesting one because I always, tease friends and stuff like you're born with the uncertainty of not knowing how and when you're going to die. So you're meant to be born with the uncertainty of not knowing things and being comfortable with it. But we spend most of our life due to anxiety and fear, sometimes learning how to control things so that we can prevent harm. But we always still walk around not knowing when and how we're going to die, and we're all going to die somehow. And so it's important sometimes to realize that we're meant to be comfortable with uncertainty, but we spend day to day always afraid of uncertainty. What's the next bad thing that's going to happen to me? What's the next problem I won't be able to manage? And that fear is anxiety and self-doubt. And self-doubt, I think, is the biggest issue most of us are dealing with. And if I had to give you one major problem that we all should work on, is self-doubt. To date, life only gives you what you can handle. You've handled it. Even if it was the worst thing ever, you're still here. You're handling it. How can we handle things better is about wellness. And it's important for us to start recognizing day to day, am I walking around with self-doubt that I can't handle the next bad thing that happens or the next breakup or the next conflict or the next work pressure? And where is this fear and self-doubt coming from versus confidence? Look at how far you've grown. Look at the skill set that's come from your suffering. Because suffering and symptoms have a purpose. Many times it's a catalyst for change. It forces you to shift, whether it's getting a new workplace, getting a new partner, getting help, or seeking, medical treatment for symptoms that are really, really loud now. We sometimes get caught up in the suffering, but we don't recognize every time we suffer, it's also a catalyst for change to somehow better ourselves or our skill set so we're better equipped for life too.
I do want to push back a little on that because
Sure.
I think that puts all of the onus on the individual. And I think a lot of suffering
Yeah.
is outside of the individual's control.
100%.
I don't think you can like tough your way out of poverty or racism or
Nope.
oppression or, and so
Mhm.
I think there needs to be a balance in the way that we talk about this stuff where it's not,
I'm glad you brought that up.
yeah, like I don't think people need trauma to get better or to
Also,
have a full life.
need
Also,
trauma.
sometimes it's not like it's like, oh, why did this happen? And it's like
Yeah.
it just
happened.
fucking happened,
Happened.
dude. Like it's
That's
not
it.
like
And that's pretty much what I would say is like shitty things happen every day that we go through catastrophic. People have, dynamics that are born into that are horrific. And it's not downplaying the suffering. But if you get caught up in the suffering, sometimes that story of suffering affects your life forever and you never give yourself a chance to get past it. So horrible things happen every day to people. The key is here and now, what can I do to better this person, regardless of what happened to me? I can't change what happens to us, but I can maybe assume some control instead of feeling vulnerable to a place where I'm broken, I'm not good enough. And I reinforce negative statements from those traumas that keep impacting me to get re-traumatized. So what happens is oftentimes if you attach yourself to your suffering of whatever has happened, it's not downplaying. People suffer in great, enormous ways. And I work with PTSD responders. I work with 9/11 responders. I have seen people go through horrific things, but it's also, as a therapist, humbled me to see how much strength we have as people, how people overcome, reinvent themselves, recreate themselves, better other people. I have a patient, her daughter left her career to become a doctor because she wanted to be a better one from all the doctors that she saw her mother struggle with that weren't good. And, you see these inspiring stories from people suffering amongst the stories of suffering. But then I also see people who are stuck in the spiral of just feeling broken from their childhood abuse or their suffering, that they're so caught up in yesterday's suffering, they don't allow themselves to live in a healthy way today because there is still beauty amongst the chaos. One reason why I love lotus flowers, it's my logo symbol, is lotuses are beautiful flowers, but they're born in swamp water. And each and every one of us have our swamp water of dysfunction, chaos, and things that we're not too happy about. But sometimes it's important for us to see the beauty and the growth and the skill set that comes from some of our dysfunction. But don't get me wrong, I have a lot of people who had beautiful lives and catastrophic traumas have shaped their reality be different today. It's not downplaying what they've gone through. It's reminding them that here and now you can still recreate a life that is good amongst the bad.
And I think that's definitely true about people whose suffering is in the past, maybe. But there are people who, can't put food on the table. They can't support their children in the ways that they want to support their children. They are, there are systematic problems that are happening. And so I guess for people like that, where their day-to-day life is, filled with struggle and stress, which is, we know, so bad for the body, like
really bad
like-
physically.
and it's not them, it's not that they can just like manifest their way out of having medical debt, what is there things that can be done to sort of still find some joy or comfort stress release even though your external circumstances remain kind of horrific?
Yeah, and when we're in I volunteered at an orphanage in Haiti when Haiti was having their disasters. And I remember going there and there were these little kids that had so much disease, so much poverty, no shoes, no proper clothing. And we went as a team to go in, and it humbled you to see how much joy they still found in day to day when they had so much pain and suffering and they had so many limitations in their day-to-day life. I think it's often our judgment. Life is a series of experiences. It's our judgment. And, sometimes it's not downplaying day-to-day life of what people go through. But I know people who have the conditions that you talk about, and they still make time to see me for therapy. They still find fulfillment with their children or bring in hobbies and interest and art. sew their clothes and do things that bring them pride when their kids wear it. I see a lot of beautiful stories amongst the chaos. Everybody has suffering. That's the fabric of life. We, I think, sometimes look at each other's life stories and we judge one suffering as worse than the other. But the truth is, I think everybody on a range of emotions suffers and goes through the same range. We just sometimes judge the stories of their suffering as one worse than the other. On a human level, I think you always have to remind yourself, everybody's going through something. Key is not recognizing one's better than the other. It's more recognizing here and now, how can I take the edge off? How can I bring a little more joy? And sometimes it's just bringing things back to simplicity. I learned a lot from my patients that are in chronic pain of how they still bring in joy amongst the pain. And it humbles me to recognize that when we're in a first world country or we have first world problems, everybody still has pain. It's not about minimizing them to say, oh, this other country has worse problems. It's about pausing and reflecting to say, we all have our story. Stay in your lane. How do I make myself better? As you work on you to be better, there's a ripple effect, whether it's your immediate family members, your friends, your colleagues, your society as a whole, or the world as a whole. Work on you, regardless of your story, regardless of your trauma, and try to see how you can better from this moment to the next. Try to be the best version of you. Many times we throw in the towel and we get caught up in the stories of our suffering and we just ruminate and we stay there. Recognize that there are resources, there's people out there. Am I feeling alone in my pain is a big one I saw with the pandemic. People felt alone and they weren't. Everybody was going through similar or versions of suffering in the pandemic, whether it was feeling alone or feeling overwhelmed or overworking or underworking or not having a job. Everybody had some sort of pain or struggle or adjustment to the pandemic. And I think it's important for us to talk to one another and realize that the purpose of life is inclusion. Let's talk about things so everybody else can normalize how normal it is. Many of us recluse. And in some cultures, I find there's a lot more inclusion. And in some cultures, including Western ones, there's a lot more like separation and division. The separation sometimes makes us have more suffering because we don't feel like people can relate. Truth is, everybody can relate. This conversation we're having taps into people on different levels. We're human beings with human problems.
Well, thank you so much. Where can people find you and more about your book?
So you can find me on drmonicavermonte.com. My website has everything there. The book is on Amazon. It's called Deeper Wellness.
But thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you a lot, too. Lovely meeting you both.
We're going to take a quick break, but stick around.
Just between us.
Welcome back to Just Between Us. It's time for Hypotheticals.
Woo! And you guys have asked for it. You said more Melissa, please.
So we delivered.
Here I am.
Thank you for playing Hypotheticals with me. You both know the rules, but for new listeners, Hypotheticals is a game where I provide you with hypothetical situations. You can ask any clarifying questions you might have, and then you tell me what you would do in that situation, and I decide whose answer I like the best.
Wow. And that's going to be hard because you like both of us equally.
It's true.
Melissa, slightly more.
You've got the longevity.
Yeah. Oh, wow. That's great. So we're the boring married couple and you're the shiny new toy.
Oh,
Cool.
Okay, our first game is America's favorite game show. Would you stay with this cheater? Your partner of 10 years goes out with a group of friends on a 2-day boat trip. The first night, your partner gets really freaked out about being on the open water. Something they weren't expecting to get freaked out about. So they decide to distract themselves by attempting to seduce one of their oldest friends, thinking it would never actually happen, but enjoying the challenge. Unfortunately, the seduction works and they hook up, which causes your partner to get over their fear of the open sea and feel very attractive. Would you stay with this cheater?
This is that thing where it's like maritime law. We're like, does it really count? I was just on a boat, actually, and
I tried to invite myself.
You did try to invite yourself. And they said you can smoke weed on land, but you can't smoke weed on the ocean because it's not legal because of maritime law on the ocean. Isn't that weird?
Oh, really?
Yeah. I didn't even explain this whole boat situation. I'll explain it next episode.
Okay. We're on the edge of our seat.
I think no, I would not stay.
You wouldn't.
No, because why am I not on the boat?
Mm.
Yeah, I wouldn't stay either because like this is dumb. Like why
It is.
why there are other ways to get over your fears. And if you're quote unquote pretending to be attracted to somebody so that you feel better about yourself, like you were attracted to them to begin with.
Right, that's a long con.
Yeah.
No, they are attracted, but like imagine like it's like almost like you going out and being like, okay, I'm going to. Who is your number one celebrity crush?
Tom Holland.
Tom Holland.
Michael B. Jordan.
Okay, great. So you two are each individually out. You see your big time celebrity crushes, and you think to yourself, "This is a cool challenge. Let me see if I can seduce my celebrity crush." Thinking in no world. Well, both of you are eerily confident.
I actually think
So
I
I
could
feel like
get.
you-
I think if I really put in the effort, I could get Tom Holland.
I was gonna say
Yeah.
Okay, so
I
it's
was
as if
once in the
I was
same-
out.
place with Michael B. Jordan. We locked eyes and he kind of did a little thing. And if we were closer, I feel like we could.
I think you could get him.
Yeah.
I think once I've had top surgery and I've been on T like another year, I could absolutely land Tom Holland.
All right, so imagine it's me in a room with Nathan Fielder, and I'm and I'm desperately I'm going to attempt to seduce him, but we all know it's not going to work out.
But wasn't this person your friend before?
Yeah, it's
That's
it's like
different.
yeah, I guess it's different.
Yeah.
if they're
Yeah.
your friend. All right, so none of us are staying.
No.
Yeah. I'm just imagining, I guess, like, if it was like me and someone I know who is also like Stephanie Beatrice, right? Like, I would be like, I would try and that would never happen because she's monogamous with her husband. But maybe in this scenario, where it's like years have gone by.
So you think in about 7 years you'll be able to successfully seduce Stephanie Beatrice?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah,
Here's the
I
thing.
think so.
If it was a stranger or like celebrity crush, then I'd be okay with it. Maybe.
Oh, but
But
because
it's
it's their
because it's
friend.
a friend.
Yeah.
That means that there's other feelings attached to that because
Right.
like why are they picking this person?
Right.
Are they the only 2 people on the boat? Who else is on the boat?
There's about 8 people on the boat.
Do they
Oh
know
my
the other
God.
people?
Yeah, they do like a yearly trip with their friends.
Yeah, they've
Yeah,
been planning
no,
this.
I gotta
if this is
go.
a yearly trip and this is the first time that they
Well, they've never been on the open sea
Okay.
before.
No, hard
I
pass.
don't I don't
No.
believe them. Liar.
It's a good answer. Our next one. Are you a terrible parent?
Okay.
Your child 7 hates to have their photograph taken, but you want to remember what they look like at every stage. So for the next 10 years, you sneak photos of them constantly, even when they are sleeping. Are you a terrible parent?
Yes, you're
No.
not. What
No.
are you talking about? You're not respecting their boundaries. Kids need to learn that you will like listen to them and that they have consent at a young age.
We're getting our pictures taken all the time, everywhere as it is. We're like, they can't escape getting their picture taken. So their pictures exist no matter like if they don't want it taken or not. So like,
Okay, well, file for a FOIA request and get all the CCTV from when they were a child.
okay, but I don't think you're a terrible parent.
Wow.
Will I see them on my doorbell that has a camera?
Right.
Oh, you would record.
Yeah,
You get ring so that
Yeah,
you could
exactly.
see them.
Or here's the other thing. I want to know why they don't like having their picture taken. That's so sad. Maybe we go to therapy and figure that out.
I think a lot of people don't like having their picture taken.
I think like my mom, because she nitpicks herself.
Yeah. Well, I'm somewhere in between the two of you, but I guess I
Not while sleeping. How about that? You can sneak pictures of them, but not while they're sleeping.
yeah, and set up a series of surveillance cameras inside the home that nobody knows about.
A nanny cam and an eyeball of the teddy bear.
How do they feel about video?
Great question. They hate it.
No. Okay. Well, I think you can do it, but not while they're sleeping. How about that?
Fair. Weird.
And take them to therapy. Why don't they like having their photo taken? Sad. Maybe they have low self-esteem.
This coming from a person that loves to take
Gabby
their pictures.
can't imagine a world where they don't take multiple photos of themselves every day.
Yeah.
Okay. Meanwhile, I grew up with my mom being like, yeah, you take a terrible photo.
Ruth.
I do, though. I'm not photogenic.
Why do you always, when we were younger, you would always say that I was so photogenic and you are not.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, I can get a good photo of myself, but I it doesn't come easily, and I get a lot of bad photos of myself
Okay, but define bad.
where I don't like how it looks.
Okay, fine. There it is.
There it is. All right, our final game. Would you forgive this liar? Your friend of 15 years has always been super proud of being a natural redhead.
Oh no.
It is a big part of their identity. One day, you are walking down the street with them when you bump into their hairstylist,
No.
who says, "Oh, the color is staying great this month. I did a good job." Your friend then violently throws up all over your shoes as a result of the dye job being uncovered. Would you forgive this liar?
Why did they do it?
I thought this was gonna go. One day you walk on them changing, and the carpets do not match the drapes.
Oh, that would have been better. That would have been better.
Oh my god. I would forgive them.
How like are they going? Like, what color are they naturally? Because if it's like, you know, like a strawberry blonde, they
No,
want to go
no.
for a more ravenous blonde. Red.
A more ravenous red.
No, they're actually like
Ooh.
a very like pale blonde, and they have like a deep red hair, but they're always talking about how they're a redhead and how they're special and how there aren't that many redheads left and how their kids are gonna have beautiful red hair, but it's all been a lie.
Why?
I don't know. They just like wanted to feel special.
Yeah, I'm
It's like
fine
Emma
with it.
Stone.
Like
She
Emma Stone.
She admits she's not
I know
a redhead.
she admits it though.
Yeah, I'll forgive. Yeah,
Why
whatever.
are they throwing? Like,
I'll
why
forgive-
is this
yeah,
so
the
much of
throwing-
their? Why is this so much? Like, that is
Throwing
what
up.
I'm angry about. Them
Violently
throwing
throwing
up
up.
on me.
That's true. I forgot
I
about
hate
that.
throw up. Like, I hate the sound, the smell.
Right.
That's why I want.
What
Like,
if I was like, no, I love throw up. This is how I come out about it.
I don't think you could say anything to me that was shocking.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll think about it.
That's our new TikTok series. Is you trying to shock me.
you with anything.
the shocker.
Oh man, that was a whole thing. I forgive them. I don't know, whatever.
I forgive them about the redhead thing, but I do not forgive them for throwing up on
Yeah,
me.
what shoes am I wearing? Are they fly?
They're Birkenstocks, and so
Oh,
you
no,
had
my
your toes
feet!
are open.
No!
Toes
that
were
would
out.
never happen. I will never wear Birkenstocks with my toes out. So
No! I wear Birkenstocks.
Well, this is a public service announcement not to lie about your not to make a lie your entire identity.
Yeah. Also, like, isn't there should be like attorney-client privilege, but for hairdressers. Don't tell
Ooh.
anyone.
That's
Don't
true.
tell anyone if someone has extensions. Don't tell anyone if they dye their grays. Zip it.
yeah,
Mm.
I agree with that.
All right.
Zip it.
Very good. We learned something today. Stick around after the break. We'll be talking all about sick burns. Welcome back to Just Between Us. It's time for topics.
XXXXX, baby.
Baby.
Baby,
Ooh, we kind of harmonized.
we did. That's why I came in a little bit earlier.
Nice. I don't really know what harmony means, but I think we did it.
We did it.
All right, guys. Let's no, Shickies, do not leave.
Look at all these dogs.
I have 2 dogs
Look
on my
at
lap,
all these dogs.
and I am thrilled about it.
I'm jealous.
Wow.
Yeah, I brought my pooches to the recording today, so if you want to see them and their beautiful new collars, check out our full videos at youtube.com/justbetweenus.
I don't think we can see the collars. Okay.
Yeah, the doggos are here.
Lie.
Those are
Which
here.
I understand doggo is millennials like speak, and I don't care.
I don't ever use it.
I don't care. I'm a millennial. I
Are we
don't
not
care.
supposed to say it?
Oh, it's just like they make fun of us for being like
Don't include me in this.
whatever. I don't give a
But
fuck.
it's not offensive.
It's not offensive. No, they just make fun of us
if
and
it's
for
just-
everything that we do.
Oh yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
I've never
Look.
once thought I was cool.
Also, like
I know I am.
what did we do? We bore the brunt of the boomers bullshit, and now y'all want to make fun of us. We didn't do anything to you. Anyway,
what about Gen
okay.
X? They never get blamed for
I
anything.
know Gen X. Well, they really had a rough go of it. I think their parents left them at home alone all the time, and then they were told they should buy houses they couldn't afford. So I feel bad for you, Gen X.
I don't.
But yeah. Also, we Allison complimented Melissa's lip color, And then I said, yes, Melissa is hot. She's in fact the bread to my Kendall. Which if you guys
So what happened was Gabby made a joke off screen.
I know, but I think
We laughed and Gabby thought, oh, that's so good. I should repeat my own joke.
We do have the
Absolutely.
audio.
absolutely I think so because if you guys want to start using the bread to my Kendall, let me know. I think I could really get that going. Sick burns. What made you think of that?
So something I see a lot of discourse about and is like when people are mad at somebody or like want to make fun of somebody, they make fun of their physical appearance.
No.
And I'd like to put an end to that. Like, I think there are wonderful creative ways to have sick burns on people that stink other than mentioning their physical appearance.
Agreed.
Absolutely.
Agree.
Mm-hmm.
So what are like some ways to really burn somebody without doing that?
Well, the thing I love about sick burns and the thing I love about roasting is that in my mind, it's the best when it comes from a loving place.
Uh-huh.
And it's the best when it comes from, I love being roasted. I love roasting people. I love feeling like the person knows me enough to make a joke about me. Like, I love when it's like, you see me, you know me. Hi, Bubba. Oh,
Sugar's left.
You see me, you know me, you want to make a joke from a place of knowing me and loving me. That's what I like. I also like, okay, so oftentimes on RuPaul's Drag Race, they will have roasts. And I think the biggest problem that I see with these people doing roasts is that you have to little bit roast yourself in the roast. And you also have to roast them for something they like about themselves. So for
Ooh.
instance, if you're going to roast, okay, this is again Drag Race. Michelle Visage, right? She's one of the judges. She's very New Jersey. She wears a lot of tacky stuff. She talks often about being sort of slutty. So, but if you want to roast her, don't roast her for like riding Rue's coattails. Roast her for something she likes about herself, which is being from New Jersey. Like roast her about, because, roast something that isn't like a sore spot. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I think that's funny. And also, a key to roasting is roasting yourself a little bit.
Yeah.
So for instance, like you have to say a little dig on yourself. Like you can even start with being like for instance, Michelle Visage, let's say, I'm like, I'm from Florida, which is trashy, but I'm not as trashy as this Jersey thing about Michelle. You know what I mean? Like you have to start by digging yourself because then it creates a level with the audience where like you're self-aware.
Do one for me.
Well, I mean, I think we often roast you for all of your exes sort of looking the same and being the same kind of being the same kind of person. But then John came out of nowhere. So I don't know.
There was no roasting.
No, that wasn't a roast.
That was observational.
That wasn't a roast. That was me making a comment on what the easy roast would
Got
be.
it,
But
got
now
it.
John has ruined it.
With his blonde locks.
Yeah.
I'm the most beautiful baby of New Jersey.
Yeah. Which I think he still holds just as an adult man too, right? Like I think still with those rosy cheeks.
He won a Beautiful Baby Award for those who missed that episode.
Oh yeah, if you missed that episode, he did win a Beautiful Baby Award. I think like it's also good to roast about something the person knows.
Yeah.
Do
Yeah.
me.
Like for instance, Allison, how many dogs do you think you will have to get before you make up for how Sugar doesn't like you?
It was just this one.
Yeah, exactly.
Just Fanty.
Yeah.
I will say, since I got Fanty, the hole in my heart's been filled up
Yeah.
for dog affection.
Okay.
Okay, that's nice.
Yeah, I think that sick burns, they come, like Gabby said, from a place of love, but it also comes like from a place of like knowing that person enough
Right.
to know what would hurt them so you don't do that. So it's like I can't come up with one off the top of my head because I think the best ones come in the moment. Like somebody can do
Yeah.
something and then you
Also, the problem is that Allison burns herself all the time. Like the fact that people made jokes about your boyfriend leaving because of your fiance left, and then you made that video where John is leaving you in the background of the video. Like what? Who can top that? Do you know what I mean?
You got to get ahead of it.
Yeah,
Like
like
you got to
who
burn
can-
yourself
That's
first,
what I'm
baby.
saying. Like who at a certain point, like I think people burn you and then you do something and it's like, yeah, how can you beat that?
Yeah. Or like
You're like, oh, you don't like me? I don't, here's my own, like here's my
I
own
like
thing.
myself.
Yeah.
yeah, I love when people burn me, but like I like it because I know that I'm so great that it can never hurt me.
Oh my God.
But I also think that like sick burns are like becoming part of like political campaigns.
Oh, yeah.
Like I
Roasting.
think, yeah, like I think that John Fetterman's campaign is doing a really great job of doing sick burns on Dr. Oz.
Yeah, and those come from all facts too.
Yeah. But so there is a way to like do a sick burn
On someone you don't
on
like.
someone you don't like.
Yeah.
Yes.
But you have to do it in a responsible way
Mhm.
where
Yes.
it's not again about their physical appearance or
I
about
agree.
something that like is out of their control.
I
It
agree.
has to be something that about them that is an active choice that still
Yeah.
sucks.
When it's physical
agree.
appearance, it's such low hanging fruit. It's not smart. Like people talking about Trump's physical appearance. Like,
Right.
there's so many other things that you can go
Yeah.
and roast. Like why?
I just am laughing to myself about Ted Cruz being the Zodiac killer. That was a great one. And that's just a rumor you can keep going. That's hilarious.
yeah.
Because also like you don't want to hurt other people in the process, right? So
Yeah.
like when you do burns about people's physical appearance, there are tons of people who
Right.
share those traits who like get burned in the process.
All right.
Right.
We're making it like specific to something that is like truly not good about the person. That's again a choice.
Mhm.
Then it's way more. I don't think it's doing harm in the process.
Right. Yeah.
Well, doing harm to the person who's getting that sick burn, but maybe they deserve it.
Yeah. Or like, I think talking about like if someone in politics, if someone is clueless or if someone is spreading misinformation or if someone is, I don't know, hypocritical or something, that's what you can hit on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But when it's someone you love, you got to get them for something that they kind of like about themselves.
Yeah.
Right. Or that they've made jokes about before too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I was posting on my emotional support lady Instagram about like how much of a change it's been for me to not like make self-deprecating jokes anymore.
Yeah.
And someone was like, yeah, but I also feel like it's kind of fun to poke fun at yourself. So like, where's that line?
Yeah.
And I think it is kind of speaking of what you said, like coming from a place of like, you can tell that I still really like myself.
Yeah.
Versus like shitting on myself.
Yeah.
I just had an example where my sister, she was like, oh, I might have to wear my hair up at work because it's so sweaty. And I was like, why don't you ever wear your hair up? I was about to be like, is it because of your ears? Because your ears stick out. And Mal was like, don't say that. That's not nice. And so Cheyenne was like, no, it's because like, I don't like to, I like to look nice at work or whatever. And then I was like, oh, okay. And then I was like, I'm so glad I didn't say her ears. And then the next text was, and also because of my ears. And I was like, see, I know her. I could have fucking said it.
Yeah.
I could have said it.
I don't think you should have said that.
Mel was like, do not say because of her ears. And I was like,
for them to
So
say.
this
said,
was
she
something
knows.
that you and Mal were discussing out loud and then texting it to Cheyenne about.
yeah.
Got it.
And I was like, she knows. And Mal was like, I know, but don't bring it up without her bringing it up. And then she didn't. And Mal was like, see? And then Cheyenne was like, and also my ears. And I was like, see? No, but also it was like, we were then sort of roasting our grandmother who was like really obsessed with fixing Cheyenne's ears. And we were like, Maymay really did a number.
What's the sickest burn anyone's ever done to you, if you can recall any?
Oh my God, I'm so easy to roast. People, there's so many things to roast me about. Have I said this before that Drew had one of the best ones?
No, what is it?
It was for my birthday. My sister had some friends make a video for my 31st birthday because it was during the pandemic, and she had friends like roast me on video. And Drew was like, this was before I was transitioning, and Drew was like, so I'm really, Gabby's an LGBTQ activist, and it's really amazing the safe space that they've created in their Instagram DMs for transmasculine people. And I was like, fuck. Yup. Like there's a lot of really good, like, easy ones, I'm like, I'm arrogant, I'm self-centered, I'm slutty, I'm, like there's I talk too much. You could say everything. There's so much.
Everyone's been really hitting me with the thing that technically I was engaged before you.
Right. So that's a great
That's
burn.
a really great burn.
That's a really, you had a great one on the fly where we were talking about Mal and I was like, yeah, Mal wasn't a commitment phobe. Like we're engaged. And you just went 3 years later. And I was like, God damn it, Allison.
Which really isn't even that long of a time. But you gotta take your shots when you get them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love to roast, but it's in conflict with also my desire to be nice.
Yeah.
But I think you can be nice and get roasted and roast.
Oh my God. The fans roast me so hard. Like talking about nice, like I'm like, if you guys are the ones who like me, who are the haters? Like those, like any cartoon of someone with like big eyes and big glasses, they're like, is this you? Every time. Or like one time I said timeline and it's called a For You page on TikTok. And I was like, everything coming up on my timeline. And then like a million of y'all were like, not old person Gabby saying timeline. And I was like, guys, cut me some slack.
I don't think I've ever roasted Melissa.
Try.
All I keep thinking, I'm trying to think of roast for you, and all I keep thinking is that like you're a workaholic.
Okay.
And that like it's something, I'm formulating it.
I don't have anything. Okay, let me think. Oh, I guess just that like we all pretend you don't have OCD when you clearly have OCD.
I don't pretend.
We're all just like, oh yeah, it's like Allison's got contamination OCD, but it's like Melissa's got it just as bad.
Yeah.
You are like my worst enabler.
Yeah.
I send you things all the time.
Send me like new cleaning products.
No, Melissa.
She's my cleaner dealer.
Oh my God.
I'd love this.
Wow.
And we're all just like, oh yeah, that's totally normal. But Allison's the one with a real
Like when you were like, we're gonna go live on a farm, and I was like, yeah, that'll be great for you. I hate going to Disney World, Disneyland, just because I don't like touching things.
Right. Sure.
I can have, and this is the thing, I can, if I know I'm going to be dirty, I can be dirty.
Uh-huh.
So it's
Yeah,
like,
you've said that.
It's a dirty day.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think you can even
I
do a
can't.
dirty day.
Nope.
Yeah. We'll talk about more about that.
Your dog is just laying here staring at the door.
Yeah, she wants to leave. Sugar's favorite thing in the entire world is to leave.
Yeah.
No matter where she is, she's at home, she wants to leave home. She's at a new place, she wants to leave there.
Never
Yeah.
satisfied.
That's all she loves is to leave.
Yeah. And that's what you're used to.
Sick burn.
That was a
Sick
good one. That was
burn.
really good.
Really good.
That was really good.
What do we rate this episode?
I rated 11 out of 10 bread.
I'll rate it 20 out of 15. I'm still trying to get on a boat.
And I'll rate it 27 out of 14 okay bagel places.
It's an okay bagel place. Thank you to Dr. Monica Vermonte for being our guest.
Forever.